exactly to David Seymour. Morena, thank you for joining us so early. We appreciate your time. What went before Cabinet yesterday?
Te Marie. Well, you know the rules, John. You've been a political journalist for about 100 years. You're not going to get people telling you what went in Cabinet, but just for you, in broad outline, what we did was we signed off the basic outline of what the bill will look like, and that allows me to go off to the Parliamentary Council Office, the government's lawyers who draft these things, and write the final form of the bill.
When you say we signed off, is that Cabinet? So the basic form has been signed off on by Cabinet? Okay, great. I just want to look, and I absolutely understand that you can't say what Cabinet's determined at this stage of the proceedings, but I want to talk about what they've signed off on, I guess. So broad brushstrokes. Article 2, tino rangatiratanga, which you always talked about in your democracy or co-government policy paper as being about all New Zealanders, has that gone back to iwi and hapu?
It hasn't gone back. It's acknowledged that iwi and hapu in 1840 had specific rights. I've always taken the view that Article 2, when it said all New Zealanders, it didn't just mean those who were in New Zealand in 1840, it meant all New Zealanders in perpetuity. I think it's fair to say some people have been a bit out of joint by that, because while it was intended to strengthen the rights of Māori by saying everyone has these rights, actually what they've said is we feel affronted that we're not mentioned there. So of course I've listened to that, and I think when the final drafting's done there'll be some specific mention. And hopefully that will get across further that, you know, this is a force for good. This is a positive initiative. Far from changing or diminishing the treaty, it actually embeds it in legislation. And far from reducing rights of Māori, it actually generalises and strengthens them.
Okay, so iwi and hapu are back into your principle too, right? They were previously not there, they are there now. What's your definition of tino rangatiratanga? What does it mean?
Well, it's self-determination. It's something that ACT actually really lives for, the idea that each of us have chances and choices in life and should be able to choose for ourselves where we go, because we believe that this country, like any other, can only flourish when each individual has the opportunity to flourish in their own way.
So will that phrase now be explicitly in the Treaty Principles Bill?
Well, that depends on how the drafters come back. I mean, they're the experts in how you express something in law. So as far as an explicit phrase, what will it look like? That's those guys' job. My job is to set the intention of it, and that idea that, you know, each of us should have the chance and the choice to self-express and be the best person we can be. That I expect will be. Okay. That, for example, is what I see in charter schools.
Who is Phrase Guy? Who's writing it? Who is Phrase Guy?
So the government has an outfit called the Parliamentary Council Office.
So it's got. So sorry, it's got. So it's with them now. Is it with them now?
Well, it was decided yesterday to send it to them. It will be very soon.
Okay. Did you watch Postcab yesterday? Watch the Prime Minister in Postcab?
No, I didn't. Sorry. What would you like to ask about that?
Well, he repeated ad infinitum. I mean, he sounded like a parrot with a small number of phrases. He just went on and on and on. Our position on this is well known and well understood. We support it to first reading and not beyond that. I'm not going to read them all out, but he said something along those lines 6 or 7 times. We know New Zealand First will not support it beyond first reading. What the hell is the point, David?
Well, a couple of things. First of all, people say that they won't support it, but no one's actually read the bill yet. As we're discussing, it doesn't exist. And no one's seen the response of the public. I've always thought it's important to try and keep open mind about that and wait to see what people say. But the second point is, let's just imagine for a moment that you're right and that all that's going to happen, a bill will be drafted that articulates the treaty as a document that unites us all with equal rights. It goes to Parliament. It's debated there, it goes to select committee, people can have a say. Then whatever happens after that, we've introduced the idea that each of us have a right to participate and a say over what our founding document means and what our constitutional future is. And in a country that now has many strands, people from all over the world calling it home, I think it's critical that each of us actually lives in a country where we have the ability to do that. And I think once that discussion is started, it's going to be hard to say, no, we're going to go go back to a world where unless you're an expert, which is rarely actually explained what that means, or unless you have the right view, then you can't discuss this. And that is the real exercise here.
I just want to go back to what you said at the beginning of that. Do you still hold out some hope that the Prime Minister, who has repeatedly said he won't, will support this beyond first reading, beyond select committee? Do you still think that's a possibility?
Well, I hate to be finicky, but the government doesn't actually have a position. So the Prime Minister
the National Party. The National Party. Would you? I mean, I can quote you what he said again yesterday. I've got lots of those quotes.
Oh, I've seen what he said. We've said it to each other in private and in public, but I just make the point that at this point, no one's actually read the bill. No one's actually seen the submissions to the Select Committee. No one's seen the public response to the idea.
Can you answer my question? It's a very explicit question, a very specific question. Do you still hold out some hope that Christopher Luxon and the National Party, who said yesterday, again, our position is really clear, we are supporting it to first reading, but not beyond that, do you still hold out some hope that he will support it beyond that?
Oh well, if you want a one-word answer, yes. I was just giving you some of the reasons why.
Can we go to what problem you think is being addressed? So in what way are non-Māori impacted or disadvantaged on a daily lived basis by te tiriti?
Well, I'll give you one example. In Hawke's Bay just this week, the local health authority decided to end free doctors' visits unless, of course, you were Māori or Pacific for people at a certain age.
OK, let's pick up on that. So let's pick up on health. Māori life expectancy 7 years shorter than non-Māori. Is it perverse and almost cruel to represent that as some form of advantage?
Well, I haven't represented that as some sort of advantage, but let's have that discussion.
It felt like you were doing it just then.
It is. I beg your pardon?
It felt like you were doing it just then.
Well, absolutely not. I referred to the access to medical care, and I'd make the point that while it's certainly true that if you group all Māori people together and if you group all non-Māori people together, then you can produce the statistic that non-Māori live 7 years longer. That is true. However, my question is why your lens for grouping people in the first place was their ethnicity. You may have seen an excellent interview on Q&A on the weekend where Jason Gurney made the point that actually the social determinants of health are what cause rheumatic fever that he happened to be talking about. It's largely about housing. I suspect it's to do with rural living far away from medical support. I suspect that it might have something to do with diet. I suspect that smoking rates might be a factor. And the point is, John, once you drill into the practical determinants of why some people live longer than others, you can actually do something about it. Whereas if you just say, oh, it's a race thing, then first of all, that's incredibly divisive. And second of all, it doesn't actually give you practical steps you can take to solve the problem. And so you ask me, how does the treaty being interpreted as a partnership between races disadvantage non-Māori New Zealanders? Actually, having a society where race is your primary determinant of who a person is and what their identity is, that disadvantages all of us. And the challenge for people who oppose the Treaty Principles Bill is to explain where in the world has dividing people and categorising them by their ancestry and their ethnic background been a success. There are no good examples, but there's many bad examples where it's gone wrong.
David Seymour, thank you so much for joining us. I really would love to continue this conversation with you another time, but we really appreciate you getting up and being available.
Well, you should get me on your show more.
Well, I'm not on the show very often, but I'm delighted that the two of us have been thrust together.
These are the best episodes.
Yes. You and I may think that. David Seymour,
we're carrying it today.
You might have an argument if this was John's show.